Arthur's words. He sends his regrets, but happy to talk to you about our Ask Arthur feature. There's a picture of Arthur. We're very excited about his participation in our group. So we're going to talk a little bit about Arthur's personal story, the first year of Ask Arthur, some of his resources, and some closing comments. Wonderful picture of Arthur and his grandchildren. As Chris had mentioned, Dr. Arthur Rettig is a retired pediatric surgeon. 73 years old, practiced pediatric surgery for 37 years. Despite multiple oral and written exams to retain his board certification in both general and pediatric surgery, never once did he encounter a question on PMP. As he looked back, in all of his years, he only had one patient with PMP. I'm not certain at the time he realized it was PMP, but he referred that person to an oncologist. He was diagnosed with PMP in January of 2013, adenocarcinoma of the appendix. Despite his medical background, did not know where to turn. Darkness for him turned to hope after finding PMP pals, and Gabrielle Graham, as many people fondly called her Gigi, and the site were invaluable in helping Arthur locate specialists and information. Despite, this first comment about despite the medical background, as a non-medical person, we have kind of this huge hope that we get to any medical institution, they will know what to do. But as we know, it takes some specialization to treat this. So that comment really struck a chord with me. Arthur's had an ileoplectomy, 2 HIPEC procedures, and a full course of FOLFOX chemotherapy. So he's just like many of us from a patient perspective. When we relaunched PMP Pals, Arthur was actually feeling pretty good, and he reflected upon how lost he was without the guidance of experts. And so he wanted to give back, and Ask Arthur began. Now, not only is a catchy phrase easy to remember, but it's something he's very passionate about. Again, Arthur's words, Arthur wants to help others since he understands and has experienced the frustration in finding help. And I think many of us would say the same things. I mean, where you live seems to make a difference, your ability to connect with resources like ours. Your insurance company seems to make a difference. So a lot of frustration, particularly when you're newly diagnosed. Arthur serves as a guide and can answer questions and help explain the clinical situation. And then, as we mentioned, Arthur does not take the place of anyone's doctor. He offers help but not medical treatment. But because of his medical background, he really is wonderful at guiding people, things that others on the team without the medical background, can't do as well as Arthur can. He understands the dilemma of patients and helps navigate the journey. Okay, so our first year, Arthur is extremely popular. When we first introduced Ask Arthur on October 1st, it was seen by 4,500 people on Facebook. Arthur wrote a couple of blog articles. One of his articles is called What is HIPEC? That has received 6,400 views. So he's definitely our celebrity. And just to give you some perspective, our next closest post reached 3,200 people, which is still something to brag about, but that 6,400 view is really dramatic. To date, as Chris mentioned, you can email Ask Arthur through our site, and he's received over 200 inquiries from around the world. These are the countries: USA, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, South America, Canada, and Mexico. People are finding Arthur And it's phenomenal that he's a resource for everyone. It's inquiries from both patients and caregivers, wide variety of questions. Trying to find a specialist, dealing with pain, and we all know it comes in varying degrees. Dealing with infections, caring for the patient. Many of you that are caregivers don't know what to do, and so Arthur is really good at providing advice to the caregivers. Side effects of chemo, specific considerations for elderly patients, and many other unique circumstances. Each case is different. Arthur talked about, there are three memorable cases. They're all special cases, but three specific cases that he wanted to share just to give you some perspective on the impact he has. There was a post-op patient with fever symptoms, and this person went to their local emergency room, and all the emergency room did was give them over-the-counter medication for fever. As Arthur started to talk to the patient and get more information, he realized that this patient was rapidly deteriorating, and he directed them back to their high-tech treatment center, and ultimately that had a better outcome. I don't know that this patient would have gotten themselves back to that center after coming home from the emergency room, because again, as a non-medical professional, you think if I get myself to a medical professional, they're smarter than me, and they know what they're doing. So we're very happy Arthur was able to help that patient. Another case, there was a patient, husband and wife. The husband is the patient. They live in South Africa, and they traveled to the UK for their surgery. This gentleman had a very, very serious situation and was in the UK for a long period in the hospital. Well, the wife needed to get back home, but was unclear as to how to care for her husband. When should they travel? What should she do? What kind of resources did she need to have for him back home in South Africa? And I think we really made an impact for this couple, trying to guide them in terms of when he should travel home and the types of resources that he would need. The third, sometimes when you're diagnosed, you don't always feel the pain. Sometimes the symptoms are so slight. And so this was a new patient that lived in Arthur lives in Chicago, so lived in the Chicago area. And Arthur had an opportunity to meet with this person face to face. And since the person felt well, they didn't think they really needed any treatment. And so we're happy Arthur was able to guide the person to seek prompt treatment, and I think this person otherwise wouldn't have. So those are three of Arthur's favorite stories, but he's been very, very impactful on guiding people through their journeys. Some of Arthur's resources. On our site, Arthur, well, I should back up. When we first started Ask Arthur, Arthur went to his local medical library and found 200 articles that had to do with PMP, adenocarcinoma of the appendix. And he narrowed it down to 20, and those are the 20 that we do have on our site, and he has a summary. And it's there for your information, and depending upon where you are in the journey, not all articles might be things you would be interested in reading early, but it's information. His blog articles, his 2 blog articles, what is HIPEC and what to expect after HIPEC. Also on our site, written in very easy to understand language on the answers to both of those questions. And so a great quick resource as you're trying to understand this invasive treatment. You can contact Arthur through our pmppals.net email, or we have a form on our site, and many people contacting him that way and provide all of the details of their situation. And some final words from Arthur, and I am going to read this to you, but you can tell how much doing this means to him. I feel that Ask Arthur for me serves as a means to help people who are lost and scared and frightened. Gigi and my doctors did that for me, and I'm now feeling well and want to help others achieve the best outcome that they can. So many feel so lost, and if we can serve as a support system, then let's do so. The Ask Arthur site has meant so much to me, most importantly in a human and humane way. So some very sincere comments on